Doors that go nowhere. Doors that go... I'm sorry. Try that again. Doors that go somewhere. Doors that go nowhere. Okay, so basically this house is like infested with demons or something? Shan told us. Demonic infestations have a way of making guys feel not so horny. It's in the Ealing Registry of Historical Homes, I pointed out. People died here. You should get that kind of air freshener shit that you plug into your outlet so it masks the scent of death and decay with springtime potpourri. Robbie offered. Look at this, she said. There are doors that go nowhere, and I swear I heard something ticking and rattling inside my wall a moment ago. Shan used words like moment. She wasn't from Ealing. One of the walls in her creaky room had 2 doors set into it. The wall itself was kind of creepy. It had wallpaper with flowers that seemed to float like stemless clones between the wide red stripes. If I pictured a room where I was going to murder someone, aside from the instruments of torture and shit like that, it would have been this wallpaper. If I was on death row awaiting electrocution, I'd be wearing pajamas, the same pattern on them. Shan went to the door on the left and pulled it open. When she opened it, there was only the jamb and the frame of the door, and then a wall of bricks behind it. See? I could only imagine what was on the other side of the bricks. Robbie naturally felt compelled to say something less than comforting. I suggest you don't liberate whatever's imprisoned back there, he said. Shan was getting angry. I knew I should intervene, but I didn't know what to say. Nowadays, people spend a lot of money for dissected bricks, for distressed bricks like those, I said. It was probably for the best that Shan wasn't paying attention to me. And look at this, she said. When she opened the second door, a long, narrow stairway entered down into darkness on the other side. The chasm was at least 20 feet deep, but it dead-ended at another distressed brick wall. There were no other doorways leading off in any direction that I could see. What can you expect from a house this old? I asked. It was a good question. Ghosts and shit like that? What was I thinking, though? You wouldn't expect miniature ponies and trained talking peacocks that dispense sugar babies and gumballs from their asses, would you? I don't want to stay in this room by myself, Shan said. And that made me very horny again. I also wanted candy. Shan, obviously stressed, looked at Robbie, then at me. I need to talk to you, Austin, she said, and motioned for me to go with her down the candyless staircase of death and decay. Robbie took the hint. I need to go to the bathroom. Maybe pull some out of my teeth. Or take a shower or something. He made a tentative, weight-shifting creak onto one leg, and I followed Shan behind door number 2. We sat beside each other on the staircase. Our bare legs touched. Shan had a perfect body. A Friday after school body that was mostly visible because she was barefoot and wore tight cuffed shorts with a cantaloupe colored halter top, and boy, I could go insane. I thought, just being this close to Shan's uncovered shoulders, wheat hair, and heavy breasts. The staircase to nothing was a fitting dungeon for constantly erupting, real dynamo 16-year-old boys like me. Why is Robbie wearing your clothes? And what happened to you and him? While we sat there, 3 important things struck me about Shan. First, I realized that, like most girls I knew, Shan could ask questions in machine gun bursts that peppered the male brain with entirely unrelated projectiles of interrogation. Second, it was often unstated, but clear in by her tone, that Shan was jealous of Robbie, possibly to the point of being a little curious about my sexuality. I know. Maybe that was also my confusion as well, because third, what was most troubling to me was that despite all of the fantasies, all the intricately structured if-then scenarios I concocted involving Shan Collins and me, Whenever an opportunity to take an action presented itself, like being alone with her in a nearly sealed dungeon, I became timid and restrained. I couldn't understand it at all. History chews up sexually uncertain boys and spits us out recycled generic greeting cards for lonely old men. Dr. Grady McKeon was a lonely old man. I could only conclude he must have also at one point in time been a sexually confused, inexplicably horny teenage boy who erupted all over everything at the least inopportune times. He was 25 years old, and well on his way to building an empire of profits when his younger brother Johnny was born. I once heard a tobacco-chewing hog farmer say that in Iowa, folks like to spread out their children like a dog shit on the dance floor. Dr. Grady McKeon would be Shane's step-uncle, if there is such a thing, and if he weren't dead. He was the last person to live in the historic McKeon house. He died and his private jet went down in the Gulf of Mexico. Its engines choked to death on ash from Mount Huacachitli? Gonna have to look that up. The same erupting volcano in Guatemala that Robert Breeze Sr. was filming a documentary on. It also happened the same year Robbie Breeze and I smoked our first cigarette, danced together, and I fell in love with Shannon Collins. Johnny McKeon never wanted to live in his dead brother's old house. It took Shan's mother about 4 years badgering to get him to finally break down and take the place out of the mothballs. I held Shan's hand, and we sat there in the dungeon with legs pressed together, and I was so frustrated I felt like I could explode. But I concentrated and methodically went through the entire account of what happened to me and Robbie at Grasshopper Jungle. I told her about our plan to climb up onto the roof of Ealing Mall to get our stuff back. I'm coming with you, she decided. Not up on the roof, I said so authoritatively my voice lowered an octave. Sounding father-like to Shan in the echoey darkness of the staircase that led nowhere made me feel horny. Demons or not. I scooted closer and put my arm around her so that my fingers relaxed and splayed across the little swath of exposed skin above the waist of her shorts. I'll wait in Robbie's car. I'll be your lookout. Shan? I asked. I almost had myself convinced to ask her didn't she think it was time to have sex, and the thought made me feel real dizzy. I forced myself to no longer have any doubt or confusion. To not wind up recycled by history. What? This staircase really is creepy. And just as I pushed her firmly against the distressed brick wall and put my mouth over hers, Robbie swung the door wide above us and said, "The moving van's here." I was going to read a couple, but that took a long enough time. And I'm falling asleep. I love you. Good night.